Hey everyone, welcome back to K Talk. We're your hosts. I'm Mel.
And I'm Uma. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a fabulous weekend so far. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's after show. We are wrapping up Undercover High School. Did I not say that right?
You did.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
You know what I realized what the problem was? Before I had it in my notes, High School Undercover, as I'm like watching, jotting down my thoughts, and it just kind of stuck with me. So I had to like rename my notes just for that it would stick. But anyways, the show's come to an end, and you know what? It delivered. We're going to do the second part.
Yeah.
I think it was fun throughout. There was no weird surprises, like super far-fetched storylines. Like everything pretty much stayed consistent. It was giving the same vibe and energy, just like the first half. What did you think?
I loved it. I loved that it stayed true to the mystery aspect of it and didn't veer off into like a romance. Thank God.
I know you were hoping for that.
I was, because I was really here for the story, the mystery. It was just so thrilling. So I was like, I'm glad they stayed in there. You know what I mean? And the romance was very minimal. Love that.
It was perfectly.
It was.
It played out perfectly.
Yeah.
You can kind of see there was feelings there, but it wasn't the center. Like, you know, it was in the main. It was in the main story.
Yeah.
It was just a cute thing to have on the peripheral, but nothing too deep.
Yeah, the main story was the mystery.
Exactly.
And those damn gold bars.
I know,
and,
right?
and finding out what happened to his father, of course.
Of course, that was a biggie.
But I need to know why the chairwoman thought it was appropriate to cut her wrist at the dinner table. Like, what was that about? Like,
Okay. Before we get into
that was a wild scene.
that
I was like,
extreme.
okay.
But remember, she does it to like mess
Mentally,
with her
yeah.
daughter, to
Yeah.
mentally terrorize her daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. Because at that point, she finds out that her daughter self-harms because they're doing. Remember how they were doing the school shoot to figure out who's going to be the face,
Yeah.
right? And they wanted her to roll up her sleeves, kind of look a little bit relaxed. She wouldn't do it, and her Haesung's little cousin knows.
Yeah.
So she runs after her when she storms off and says, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Get off of me." Pretty much. Like she's ashamed at that point, right? And she's angry and frustrated. And then her mom figures out, "Oh, you threw a little tantrum because like, am I supposed to feel sorry for you? That the pressure is getting to you? Look, I can cut myself too." And she literally says, "See, I did it too. Now let's move on. Let's stop with
I
this
mean,
nonsense."
I feel like there would be other ways to get that same point across. Like,
She's
but
cold as
obviously
hell.
she's a nut job.
She is a nut job.
Yeah. She's literally insane.
The second part, we literally saw how crazy she is because every time she didn't get her way or, you know, she didn't end up harming people, she would do this like maniacal laugh.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe this shit. Like, I can't believe this person's still alive. These people are standing in my way. She was completely unhinged.
Yeah. Did we ever find out what happened to Yena's father? She probably got rid of him too, to be honest. Come to think of it.
We never addressed that.
Yeah, and they never talked about it.
They didn't. And I was like, that's weird. But who'd want to stay married to her crazy ass?
Yeah, I understand, but it's like, did he pass away?
Did he just leave her? It's like, I got to get the fuck up out of here. But then I feel like if he didn't pass away, he would have maybe taken his daughter.
Yeah.
I just feel
and
sorry
as crazy
for her.
as she is, that wouldn't be so far-fetched that she would get rid of him if he was like a normal,
She's
good
been killing
father.
people left, right, and center.
Yeah, that's
of
her.
course.
That's
That's
thing.
nothing for her. That's a mild day.
Yeah.
That's a mild day. But going back to the photo shoot, how hilarious was it when Haesung was so nervous and he finally started feeling himself?
That was hilarious.
When she had to take him out to do like practice shots.
Yeah.
I was like, these idiots.
He came back and killed it.
Like, he was like, I'm a model now.
Yeah.
He's like, who? Me? The way
And I
he was feeling
love
himself.
this because a part of this is like healing his inner child as well, right?
Yes.
Because remember, when he was in high school, he was getting bullied, whatever. And now for him to like redo high school again, and he's like the most popular guy.
Exactly.
You know what I
this
mean?
mission, I think, really did heal his teenage self.
Yeah, it did.
Right? Like he went from being beaten up to being made fun of, being an orphan and just having like a difficult time all around to now making, I don't want to call them lifelong friends, but like to making an impact. And when
To
these
find
kids,
that everyone loves him. Yeah.
everybody loved him. And like when they showed up at his dad's funeral.
Oh my God, I cried. I cannot lie.
And he
cried.
was so happy, and
he was
so moved and so touched. And then when Dongmin like hugged
Him,
him,
yeah.
and he's like, "Thank you."
Well, that was his first bestie, right?
That was his first bestie.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that was such a beautiful and touching moment. And I was like, oh,
it was
actually
so beautiful.
like giving me the feels.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the times that like,
yeah,
I cried because that's the thing.
Other than that, like, yeah,
there was nothing else crazy.
Oh no, there's another part, but we'll get to that. But yeah.
Okay. What other crazy revelations did we have in the second half?
We find out that they've been rigging the grades.
Oh yeah, the chairwoman. Sorry, the chairwoman's crazy, and she literally believes that like only the rich and their children like she was obsessed with social class that she wanted to make even education tiered.
But my thing is, okay, once you rig they get into college with these rigged grades, then what? Once they get into college,
it just continues.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what I wanted to know?
What did literally paying for their education?
What didn't make sense to me? How did Yu Jung become number one spot if they were rigging the grades?
That's another thing.
That was weird to me. Yeah,
is it something that like they have to once in a while not to make it look
maybe
super obvious.
Yeah, maybe.
Because how did they have this whole plan where the math contest and everything that they were going to enter, they already like said, okay, Yena's going to be like number one. That other guy's son, one of their main group.
I think his name is Jae-sung. Yeah.
Jae-sung. He was also going to be like 2 or 3 in that. Like, I think that one time that she was ahead of her was just to kind of make it look,
Yeah, because I'm like, she literally refers to Yu Jung as a dog. And I'm like, but you let her become number one.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that was horrible the way she said that. She was like, don't treat your dog like a human or something.
Yeah,
that woman was
damn.
just
like that's a bit much.
Evil. She was super evil.
But speaking of Jae-sung, did you see when she beat his ass
in the bathroom?
I did not expect that. I was like, God
and
damn.
I was like, how did he go back outside with his face completely bruised up like his dad wasn't going to notice? And even if his dad did notice, he'd be like, so what? Like, you deserve it?
How are
like,
you allowing just a random chairwoman to beat on your son like that?
Shit out of your
but
at
the same time, he does too much and he does talk too much. So like he kind of
the people that have raised him. He's raised with that mentality that just because he's born into money, it makes him automatically better than everyone else.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I just wasn't expecting that beat down. I was like, God damn. Like,
the way she slapped the hell out of him and said, clean yourself up with her used tissue.
Yeah.
I said, somebody needs to stop this woman.
She was fucking diabolical.
She was insane. One of the funniest things that I enjoyed was randomly Sua's mom was like an ex-gang member or maybe even the gang leader.
Yeah. I don't understand exactly what that group was that she was part of. Like, what did they do?
Because they needed more people. They needed muscle. And she was like, oh, don't worry. I can call people. Yeah. And Sue was like, I don't think I'm ever going to talk back to her because she didn't realize how dangerous her mom was.
Yeah.
But I needed a quick explanation.
Yeah.
As to how she's a sweet little lady that runs a diner now.
Yeah. And with that background.
And how she's connected to all these like gangsters.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
But can we just go back for a second? Like, how much a chairwoman terrorized Yena? Like, so there was an event that was coming up at the school event that was happening. That's when they were trying to get into her office.
Yes.
And I remember her walking by Yena and she just grabs her and is like, stay away from the carbs. I literally cackled. I literally cackled. I'm like, damn, like you're just terrorizing her for no reason.
She was monitoring every aspect of her life. Like there was even a couple of times before where they're having dinner at home and she tells her like, you don't need to eat. Remember how like in the first half we were shocked that she was like, take these pills. You don't need sleep. And she's like, but I'm only getting like 4 hours of sleep to begin with. It's like that. Out of nowhere, you're just like, don't eat the carbs.
Yeah.
And look at the complete opposite of when she went to, what is her name again? Yu Jung.
Yeah.
When she went to Yu Jung's house and her mom just gave them all the food and was like, eat, hang out, be good. Yeah. And like just the difference. Like if I was her, I would die on the inside.
I think the moment Yu Jung slapped the shit out of her is when their
Oh, when
relationship
she
went
gave
from,
it right back to her.
Their relationship changed for the better.
It really did, because the way she slapped her, she never thought in a million years that
she would do that.
Yoo Jung would give it back to her right away.
And then after that, she became...
That knocked some sense into her.
It really did. Because after that, they were the best of friends. Like a real friendship. Like,
I think she finally fucking understood.
Yeah.
She was like, she's the only real friend you got.
Yeah. So back at that event, he gets into her office and then finds out that she knows about the whole entire operation.
Exactly. Because we find out that she's had a mole this entire time.
Yes.
In the NIS.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're talking about 22 years this person has been working with her.
And all of a sudden, he keeps that information to himself, becomes very withdrawn from the team, the NIS, because he has no idea who this person is.
Having serious trust issues right now. Yeah.
Sadly, he is so discombobulated with this that he actually thinks his uncle might be the mole.
And I understand why he thought that, because I remember him bringing to him the rigging situation.
Yes.
And the way he said, I don't care about Yoo Jung.
Yeah, we're talking about like...
That's his own daughter. And he said, I don't care about Yoo Jung right now. Like that, even that response, it was kind of sus, to be honest.
It was
like,
in a 50-50.
Yeah.
It was kind of sus, but at the same time, you have to think to yourself, like, this man is so by the book that he doesn't even want to give a perk to his daughter. Like, that's how straight-laced he is.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, 50-50. Just because he doesn't care about the grade rating, even though it could hurt his daughter's future, he is so by the book that he wants to find this goal and complete the mission as stated.
Yes, but do you also understand why Hae-sung is like, hold up, this involves your daughter and potentially her future.
Of course. He was very emotional,
that was a weird response.
That was,
you know
but
what
that
I mean?
was a very clinical, professional response.
Yeah.
Where Hae-sung, I think, was, super emotional about it. Like, that's his little cousin.
Yeah.
So he suspects him for a little bit. And when he finally tries to set him up by saying, hey, I have a witness at the safe house, and watches overnight, and his uncle doesn't do it, like doesn't show up.
Yeah.
When he called him and he's like, I have to apologize to you.
Yeah.
And his uncle's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. And then they have dinner, and he was like, about what I said earlier. He's like, what was that about anyways?
Yeah.
He's like, then why did you say you understood? He was like, I don't know. We're family. I'll
Yeah.
always forgive you. So
And I was
what did
so-
you apologize for?
Yeah.
I thought that was so touching.
And I was so happy that it turned out it wasn't him, because that's literally
It couldn't have been him.
the only family he literally has.
There's no way.
Yeah.
To me, I was like,
Yeah.
this show is not that deep enough. It's not.
No, at first they had to go in though. I'm like, could it be? But I'm like, this is literally the only family he has. Please don't let it be. And it turned out it wasn't him. It was actually director Kim.
I know.
Yeah, that man been working with her for the last 20 years.
And they're always threatening each other.
Yeah.
But anyways, we find out that director, the entire time, he was there when his father was killed.
Actually set his father up.
Set his father up because he didn't want to be exposed as the mole. So we find that out. Like, his dad's like, no. He ends up dying. He didn't know where, though.
Yeah.
Because he escapes into the vault. How heartbreaking was that scene? Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
When he finally solves all the riddles and they think the gold is under the bust.
Yeah.
Goes in there only to find his dad's remains.
Yeah.
I said, no, he can't be alone.
The part that broke me is when you see the watch that he gave him.
I know.
Oh,
That's when he just kind of like slid down the wall. He was just crying.
Yeah.
And just could not.
Because
even hold
remember, he
himself up.
also had hope that his dad would be still alive, to be honest. I think he's
Which
still
is
holding.
in a weird way. I was like, that was a little bit of a reach. That was a childhood hope. I think his inner child, like he
But
was
at the
thinking
same time,
like
you
the
have to
little boy who lost his dad, because there's no way.
No, but at the same time, if you've never found a body, you would still have that hope, to be honest.
No,
I've
because
never
then I
found
would think, no, if I didn't find a body and it's been like, what, 20 years? 20-something years?
I don't know.
I would assume my dad is dead, because that man looked like he was such a good father. He was a good agent. Nothing about their home life was crazy.
No, I didn't.
His mom had passed away at that point, right? Because it was just him and his
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
So why would you ever think his dad would leave him willingly?
No, I don't mean that would have left him willingly. I'm saying, say these people just held him hostage for all these years, like had him locked up somewhere.
Oh,
type
like
of
in
thing.
like a little
yeah, like a little dungeon area or whatever. They were feeding him, but have him locked up.
Oh no, you had way more hope than me. I was like, that man is dead.
No, I still had hope.
He'd been dead.
But yeah, he found him. That was a very heartbreaking scene.
That was. I think that was the only other. That was the scene that I cried, and then the funeral. Like everything else was just very lighthearted. But
yeah,
those two were heavy scenes. But he digs a little bit deeper, and he finds out it's actually the crazy chairwoman.
Yeah,
that shot his dad. No remorse. And then she goes to the police station after she sets him up and frames him for the director's murder.
Yeah.
Goes to the police station, literally within arm reach of him, be like, knowing that like he knows that she killed his dad. That was a lot of strength that he showed. I thought he was going to jump across the table and choke her.
Yeah.
The way he held himself back.
Yeah.
She would have been,
And then in the midst of all of this, Sua gets stabbed.
First of all, that was crazy to find out, because the way that math teacher was always in Sua and the other teachers' conversations, always ear hustling. Like, I thought he had a super crush on Sua, not thinking that he was working with the chairwoman. And he wasn't so innocent. I mean, he still could have had a crush on Sua.
Yeah, mind you, when he broke into his house, he didn't expect to run into anyone, to be honest. He didn't come
in there with the intention that they actually fell. I think he picked up the knife just to kind of get the phone away from her and run away.
Yeah.
But they actually fell. She fell on him and fell into the knife. Like, he didn't actively stab her, basically.
Yeah.
But still, he's been bringing all the students' grades, and he was willing to confess. But look at the chairwoman's reach and her mold, because that woman was gone for like 2 days, and her and the principal were right back.
Yeah.
Just shocking everybody.
Yeah, and then we find out why the principal is so loyal to her. Apparently, he was an orphan that was raised by her family. Yeah, it was weird, because at first I was like, is this some romantic, does he have a crush on her?
I think he did too, though.
A part of it, yeah.
I think a part of him like loved her more than just from like a family perspective.
Yeah, because this man
romantically.
Yeah, because this man didn't have a wife, children of his own, or anything. He devoted
his entire life to this crazy lady.
Yeah.
But I thought, yes, I know that this was not a super deep show, but that was very simplistic and very, very like, you know, it was too easy. That Hae-sung just had like a 2-minute conversation with him, like, do better. If you sincerely love her, get her the help that she needs. Let her learn her, you know, there are consequences to her actions. And then he just flips like that. And
he's been doing this for 40 years with her.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that was a little bit too oversimplified.
Yeah. Well, that was towards the end, right? So I guess they just had to,
they had to wrap it up really quickly.
Yeah.
Let's see. They had me going for a little bit, because I actually thought like the entire gold situation was a myth.
Yeah.
Turns out to be true.
Yeah.
His dad did the damn job. Got that gold out before anybody was onto him.
Yeah.
Hid it in his closet the entire time.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That was.
That was very cute. What else happened? That was like...
Oh, and then the scene of the chairwoman pretty much trying to burn down the school and the kids in it. Yeah.
No. That was... First of all, how evil is she that she already had that system set up, that the sprinklers would spit out gasoline?
Literally. Like, when did you do that?
When did she think to even do that? At some point, she was like, I'm going to burn this bitch down to the ground?
Yeah, in case.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Sending her daughter off and then be like, all you fuckers are going to get it.
They're children. They're like children. Like, I
was like, nothing. What did they do?
Literally.
That was the smartest thing, though, that Yoo Jung did. Call her friend right back, because she knows she couldn't go through with it.
Literally.
No, but how evil.
Like, what was the plan, ma'am? Like, literally just blow up.
She's like, we're all dying
even if
together.
you want to kill yourself, ma'am. And then she tried to, and then Sua swoops in, tackles her, you know, but...
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
As horrible as the shit that she was saying was, she was kind of like funny with it, though. Like, she's like, not these cockroaches yelling, or like every...
and these are those rich students.
It's like she thought the whole world was beneath her.
Yeah.
Literally. Like half the school is privileged kids,
Yeah.
and the other, like, it's like handful, like maybe 10% were scholarship students.
Yeah.
But she's like, look at these cockroaches yelling or talking back. I was like, yo, she's out of
It was
pocket
like
for the
the
things
world
that she says.
is a better place without y'all. Like the world
But
is
she's fucking hilarious though.
Yeah.
Like her little one-liners, evil as shit, but kind of funny when the director goes to her house and he's like yelling like, oh, he's on to us or da 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 da, and then she's like, hey, principal so and so, you know what my dad used to say or something? Never give your servants rice because they're gonna think they're human. And then she like somehow the principal like chokes him out. This man's on his knees and she's like, you should feed them, feed, like,
Yeah.
and she's shoving whatever that was in his mouth. And I'm like, listen,
She
a disgusting human
literally
being.
is a mad woman, and she refers to herself as a mad woman.
Oh, they wrote her.
Yeah.
They wrote her role perfectly because I was constantly shocked at her metaphors.
Yeah.
And analogies.
Everyone's a dog. Everyone's
an animal
beneath everyone. Yeah.
But I'm sorry, the cockroach and the poor kids. I was just like,
But I'm so proud that Yena's like nothing like her.
thankfully.
Like, I was really proud of her when as soon as the rumors went around, the pictures went around of
That she
Sua.
gave Haesung.
Yeah, she gave him a heads up, sent the pictures to him. He came quickly.
The way they squashed that
yeah,
rumor
cleared
so
it up
quickly.
really quick. I love that.
I know.
You know, that she was a better person than her. And but at the same time, it's like, you mean to tell me she doesn't know how evil her mom for me, it's like she's kind of surprised in a way. But at the same time, her mom doesn't really tell her much. I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Remember, her mom is here emotionally abusing her.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to dig deeper.
Yeah.
She could barely survive. The girl was on 3 hours of sleep.
Literally. Yeah.
Lots of pills.
Yeah. I'm so glad that she did that,
emotionally
though.
exhausted.
Yeah.
I don't think she even wanted to think her mom was capable of that. And even when she went to go see her in prison and she was like, I'm not gonna visit you for a while because I'm gonna have to understand you. I'm like, what is there to understand? She's a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Move on with your life. Cut her off pretend she's dead.
Yeah, because everything about how you were raised, your life was a lie.
Yeah.
Pretty much, if you think
can
about
never
it. Yeah.
humanize your mom because she's a monster.
Yeah.
I love seeing that, how we saw her life progress and she wanted to drop out of school and start again eventually.
Yeah.
And do things, in her own time. She pursued her dreams. Like, you could tell she was, artsy and she was painting. So I'm like, okay, great. Like,
Yeah.
she needs to distance herself from her mom. Let's see. How else did they wrap it up? What was cute? Oh, I loved how those two little dum-dum agents finally got together.
Yeah. From the very beginning.
I thought
Obviously, the guy, he had a crush on her.
He had a
It was
crush on her
very
the entire
obvious.
time. And anything she did, he saw that was like, ooh, was that like,
Yeah.
does she like me? Like, he was reading into every situation. Mind you, there was a couple of times where she had to like kiss him or something in the spur of the moment, and that just fueled his delulu even more. But yeah, and then so by the end we see that they finally get together and she's actually pregnant.
Yeah.
We obviously knew that Sua and Haesung were gonna get together.
Yeah. I don't really care for that. You already know. I'm glad that it didn't take over the whole show.
No. Just a little bit at the end was perfect.
Yeah.
You knew that they knew each other as little
Like
kids.
I said, I don't care. I still feel like it was one-sided. I think she was way more into him than he was into her. Especially that part. Like I said, that part when she's like, yeah, so when all of this is done, can we should grab a meal. Like, girl, get out of my face. Like, you see what I mean? Like, I don't care. The way he didn't show it as much. Like, I did not feel it from him.
I think he was focused on the mission, but I think
I don't give a damn. We know in K-dramas, when someone is it's very obvious.
Yeah, but this was a romance, though.
I know it wasn't romance, but still, he could have gave a little bit more.
I know. I liked how her mom just right away was like son-in-law. She just loved him. She's like, he's mine. They're together. I don't care. I thought that was adorable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't have romance. Honestly, it was such a perfect show for what it was.
It
didn't really need the romance at all.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think the mystery was going to be that good, actually. I really thought it was going to be more so lead into the romance more than the actual mystery. So I'm glad it literally stayed there.
True to
what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think all in all, it was a perfectly fun show. If you're into mysteries,
Yeah.
some action,
Into a fine male lead. Yeah. He is fine.
literally, he made
Yeah.
it such an enjoyable watch.
He really did. And I cannot wait to see more of him.
Right? I think the
Yeah.
show hits for what it is, honestly. I mean, way better than My Dearest Nemesis.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I know.
I'm glad I didn't continue that.
I could not continue after episode
Yeah.
7 and 8. I knew I wasn't feeling Nemesis, like My Dearest Nemesis, when I was more invested in the second couple than the primary couples. By the time those two sorted out their shenanigans and got together, I think I was done. And they achieved that by like episode 7 and 8.
I
And
didn't even
after
get to, can I say, I didn't even catch up. I stopped at episode 6, what we covered and what we spoke about, and I didn't continue. Thank God I didn't waste my time.
No, because I watched 7 and 8 and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Thank God. So we will not be wrapping up.
I think that's safe to say. It's like,
My
you know
Dearest
what?
Nemesis.
Just,
Yeah.
if you liked My Dear Nemesis, the first half, please by all means continue. But I couldn't do it. I felt it. Okay, both shows are predictable, but this one was way more fun.
It was way more fun. Yeah, the mystery, I loved it. It was,
right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I hate to say this, but I actually like caught up on Potato Lab. And the name of that show is not doing it justice.
100% ruined it for me. That's why I didn't start.
You
But
didn't.
now that you're telling me.
But I was curious.
Yeah.
I was curious and I was like, you know what? Let me give it a chance. And I kind of watched a couple of episodes. Then I saw myself just fly through 8 episodes. And I was like, this is so much more enjoyable than My Dearest Nemesis. And it kind of has the same premise. Like, it's a workplace rom-com.
Yeah.
They don't like each other in the beginning, end up being together. Like, but the reason why Potato Lab is so much better is because it has a fully fledged, like, supporting cast.
Yeah.
Because My Dearest Nemesis, realistically, like, outside of the 2 main couples, there's really nobody else in their world. The dad and her brother. That's about it.
And I've also
his bitch ass grandma, but nobody cares about that.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I feel like with My Dearest, the 2 couples, I don't know how to explain it, are just so different. I don't usually when there's 2 couples, I don't know how to, like, they're kind of similar in a way, whereas whatever, but this one is giving a whole different, like, they could be their own drama kind of thing.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Give me an entire drama just based on the second leads.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And that's why I'm like, I could not continue. But
yeah,
listen,
it will not be missed. Thank God I'm not wasting my time finishing it. So yeah.
But hey, if you're looking for a fun rom-com similar to My Dearest Nemesis, I highly recommend Potato Lab.
Yeah, I will definitely start looking into that one. Yeah.
Once you get over the name, I'm telling you, you're going to have such...
They need to stop with these silly names.
You're going to have such a good time. You're going to have such a good time because Potato Lab, we have our enemies to lovers, workplace with the main characters.
Yeah.
And then they have a slew of like side characters that have their own fun, entertaining stories.
I love a good full cast.
There's a good backstory with the female lead that's connected to the male lead in present day.
Yeah.
It's got so much more going on for it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like My Dearest Nemesis, we already knew what the problem is. He's traumatized by his grandma. They can't be together. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
That's about it. He's hiding a hobby.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried.
Yeah. I
We tried.
to. Like I said, the first half wasn't that bad, but the fact that you're telling me moving forward, 7, 8, it just starts to slow down. Yeah, I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm not. Because I hate nothing more than when you literally continue a show and just end up hating it.
Exactly.
Like,
the reason why Undercover's second half was really good is because we had this entire mystery to unravel.
Yeah.
All the little riddles. The crazy chairwoman really did her part.
Yeah.
The psycho principal was doing the most.
Yeah.
We had the friendship and relationships that developed with, Haesung and the students. Him coming to terms with his dad's passing. Like, it was
a full show. Yeah.
Exactly. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was exciting. I mean, some things were a little out there, like very much. I'm gonna stand by what we said in the first half, which is not believable that he was ever high school age.
Yeah.
Or carried himself
He
like
was
a
the same.
teenager.
Yeah, he was the same person.
That stayed true
Like,
throughout the entire time until it became.
he didn't even get that weird bowl cut or nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
You know what? If they would have had his hair a little bit longer, gave him bangs, and then slicked it back when he was the agent, and then, you know what I mean? That could have definitely worked. Like, they should have tried that because that's how they always age down actors.
But like I said, I don't
lines.
care. He was fine, and it was easy to watch because of him.
And enjoyable throughout the entire thing. Was really fun.
It was.
So,
like I said, in every episode, I was like wanting more. That's how I know when a show is like really entertaining and good. It's like, oh my God, I gotta watch the next episode.
Exactly.
You know?
Like, and you weren't like, oh my God, like I'm bored. Like usually I know that I'm engaged when I'm not picking up my phone, and Undercover High School was like that. Whereas like episode 7 and 8 of like My Dearest Nemesis, I found myself like having to rewind it a lot because I'd be on my phone half the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really care for this, but I give Undercover High School, I'm going to say 7 out of 10. Because it was just light. There was nothing really crazy about it. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It did what it needed to do.
Yeah, for the show that it was, I give it a 8 out of 10, actually.
Yeah.
For what it was, it delivered, spot on. Yeah, I loved it. I was entertained. Again, I'll give it a point because the man is fine. You know what I mean? But yeah,
I give it. Because he is so fine, let's bump it up to an 8.
My SOS.
Song?
Hey song. It's fine ass. Like, who else? Why am I trying to think? I'm lying to myself. It's like, I know.
Girl, you were fronting. You were fronting for a second. You were like, you know what?
I was. It's Hey Sung all the way. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
He was literally the star of the show. Who else even comes close?
There was nobody else.
Yeah, no one comes close. Yeah. How about you?
Same. I'm not even gonna take a moment to pause. Okay, I'm not faking the funk. Like, it was him through and through.
Yeah, loved it.
It was great.
It was.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's after show. I hope you guys are really liking Undercover High School. I don't think you should drop it. Definitely drop My Dearest Nemesis because it's just too predictable and nothing fun happens. And if you haven't started Potato Lab, get on it. So much more better. It will fill the hole and the void that My Dearest Nemesis left.
Yeah.
Wide open because, such a disappointing show. But that's all we got for you this week. Thank you so much for listening. Hope everybody has a great week ahead. Bye.
Bye.